Ready? Ready to gavel.
There's no way it would be performing
I want
as
Jen
well
to-
as this is. I mean, how long have we had this?
Oh, no, I have a MacBook here at home. It's gotta be vintage.
All right, we'll get started. Is that okay?
And it still
All right,
works.
CNET, you ready? Okay, ready?
Run down, grab one downstairs.
Okay. All right, I'll call to order College Township Council regular meeting this Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Will all who are able please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have time on the agenda for public open discussion. If you're here for something that's not currently on the agenda, but you'd like to come to the lectern, you may do so. Pat? Please state your name.
Is that all you want?
That's all I want, and then you can sit down.
Pat Vernon, I live in College Township. Okay, I'm on a committee that deals with traffic, and one of the things we're looking at is Oak Ridge Drive. It is just a hair under a half a mile long. Right now, there's been a lot of neighbors there that have been upset with too much traffic on the road, so there's been a lot of work done to try to find a way to get rid of some of that traffic. And speed bumps seems to be the present idea. The reason I'm here is whoever designed the speed bumps and designed the number of speed bumps, apparently they didn't investigate speed bumps around the town. That's approximately, it's a little under a half mile long, and we're scheduled by some engineering firm, I guess, to put in 7 speed bumps on Oak Ridge and on Shamrock. I've driven all over campus looking for speed bumps, all over the town looking for speed bumps, investigating it, and my opinion is we have too many. So rather than start off with 7, my suggestion is to start off with 3. If you put in 7 and you don't like them, the likelihood of ever removing them is probably slim. I'll be in the ground before that happens. If you put in 3, you can always add. So my recommendation is don't put in 14 speed bumps. Try a lesser thing and go from there. And there's a lot of other things to say about that, which I'm not going to do because it'll take half your meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. All right, anybody else? Go, please come.
Good evening. I'm John Ferguson, Houserville Road, here in State College. Thanks for having me here tonight and listening to my concerns. A great tie-in to Pat, as a matter of fact, and hi Pat, you see he left. But we had an issue on Houserville Road regarding speeding. But we brought it to the attention of council, to some people at an open house. We brought it to their attention. I've actually submitted emails, followed everything I was required to do. But what's disappointing is from leadership and the values that you bestow is not getting a reply. Extremely disappointing. I just want to be clear about that. But that being said, I'm looking for win-wins. Not a lot of people have worked with me in the past. Those that are even behind the council desk, Adam, the rest, I've worked with for a number of years. I think they know me well enough. I want to make sure that we all, win with the right objectives in mind. Also, maybe it's an oversight, but at the entrance here at Spring Creek Park, I just noticed, there's no, what you want to call white lining for crossing there, but when you go up to Fieldstone, which I recently did with Karen, the grandson, at an event, just everyone drive up there, Brandywine Drive at Fieldstone. What's the difference? Why is that missed? Answer me. take a look at it, okay? And wonder why it's never done at the busy, including the white lining down the swale on Spring Lea Drive where most of the people come down, where the pedestrian. But you go into the park where they made the bridge, and you come in there, and on the trail, you have it's all white line and a white marking going across. The facilities master plan, okay, with pedestrian. I think people know that I made it clear of our position. It's, again, it's just frustrating when you follow process, communicate, and you do not receive the opportunity to have your voice heard, which is really contradictory to the values of this township if you read the values. And where I came from and where I worked for, now retired, those values you live by, or you will see the light of day out the door, okay? It was very clear. All we asked for was a meeting, even if Adam, I don't know the process, but when I was the operations manager of my operation, you know, we held the meetings, whether we knew there may be some agreement to disagree or agreement to create the win-wins that we're seeking for. But they have nothing to bring the stakeholders in. We even offered to come here, you know, on our time. And I truly appreciate what you're doing because I can respect it from working day, you know, from dark, coming home in the dark. So I get it for 37 years, so I know. But now I'm trying to enjoy life a little bit. And I'm being maybe a little more cognizant in the township because I wasn't in the past due to, I think my obligations, unfortunately took me away from doing that. The other part, when we're talking about Spring Creek, there's a restoration or a renovation project gonna go on there. And I hope that the council has not sloughed it off the cog, because I've seen recently some things with Whitehall Road. It's none of my business, whatever is going on there in the drama. But you can't go and blame people. You know, it's easy to do that, you know, that's easy. It's how you learn from this. But I hope, from a facilities master plan standpoint, pedestrian, that some of the trails are finished through there. Some of the parking lots that we currently walk through will become trails. For example, down by Carla's house, the chair's house, you currently walk in the parking lot. That trail should go around and attach to the trail there at Puddingtown Road. The bridge that was put in, the nice bridge, really nice, I appreciate it, should have a trail leading down to where the covered bridge trail is. But that trail is not completed, and they should be stone dust to allow water to percolate. You have number 2 stone, and you know, it's not good on the feet, but I'm very appreciative of the trail and I use them a lot. The other thing also I wanted to get through as well, but I saw the other day on, and I was channel surfing, I just stumbled into it. And I watched my time here, I've got about a minute left, is in regards to this climate change, ESG or whatever you call it. And while the township, I missed Mondays, I had surgery on Tuesday, so I apologize for not being here. But that being said, I'm here, like I said, to help. And I caution everybody to not rush into something. And I was glad to hear that College Township wasn't running, maybe you are, but I really caution you from, if you value my trust and integrity, from rushing into something. I don't want to see a pig in a poke for the people here at the township. I think you got to demand people put in writing what the savings are. Do we have a 15-day verbal to get out of the agreement? A 30-day out, meaning you're out. Things that can help you with, because I've been down this road when natural gas was deregulated. I mean, we have meetings of hundreds of people. And I know Eric, not to put him on the spot here, but he did solve me a lot of cata. You remember those days with Judy and stuff, Eric? It is not easy, and you've got to watch what you're getting into. So I'm kind of glad that all of you have paused. If you have, I wasn't there Monday, but I encourage you to watch your step, is what I'm trying to say from experience, a lot of experience. Last thing I have is, again, regarding the values. I think if you look at your values, I think you've got to take a hard look at them. Based on the experience I had to wrap up with that, very disappointed. But I know a lot of the people here, and I admire and I respect them a lot. And Sue, congratulations on being to the supervisor. I know it's a thankless job, so I do respect it from a guy that was in a very thankless job at times, but very very proud to be where I came from in the energy industry. And one thing I always remember in our values, like I told you, and again, my time's up, but I could recite, how many of you can recite your values? I could recite ours like that, and I've been gone almost 2 years. Safety, integrity, responsibility, collaboration. We had cards, and our CEO, man, that was like, you knew them, and if you did not follow your values, I told you where you're gonna be. It was serious stuff. And I just think if you look and reflect on your values and maybe how the people feel, at least feelings of, emotion, but what we think there on Houserville Road, the 10 subject matter experts that see what's going on out there, I think you gain maybe a little better respect for those people out there. They're very good neighbors. Say I'm the big guy. You always gotta have a bad cop and white knight. Let them be the white knights, I'll be the bad cop. Okay? I can take it. I got strong shoulders to do that. So I want to thank you for the time. And again, we're no threat. I have no interest to be behind your table there. I want to enjoy life. It's been a long life. I've had enough incidents, explosions, fatalities. I want to just enjoy life a little bit. And with that being said, I thank you for listening. And again, I hope that someone will reach out to me and exchange some ideas that we can get better. And I encourage you also, even though Steve, you might have said it, Steve Bear said it with the thing, but he was kind of point on when he said about his comment about Maryland. I worked in there for about 9 years. And you read that, when you're down there, it's a whole different world. And I lived it, and they really were involved, engaged, and it was on a county-wide strong basis, but a lot of people like the power, authority, and kingdoms in Pennsylvania. And we're not like that over there. We just want results. So again, any other ideas I'll submit to council I may have, but again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate that, and good seeing a lot of all of you. Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. I am sorry that you experienced that lack of communication from us. I assure you we will track that down and figure out what skipped. I do know that I recall seeing you at the meeting, and then I do recall seeing your correspondence when we reviewed the pedestrian plan. And it's possible that we just considered that incoming correspondence with all of the other incoming correspondence. So I assure you, you'll hear from us soon, okay?
No, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
the one thing I failed to mention though is when I came back from traveling, and I emailed right away December 1, I'm willing to set up the meeting. Would you please set up the meeting with all the stakeholders?
Sure.
And it was regarding a number of issues, and not to hear nothing back.
Sure.
And then you read that the plan was adopted on the 14th. And even I think my neighbor had asked, to take that red line off that section where it was in question. And I don't know why it wasn't taken off. It's only a layer. All you gotta do is lift it off. It takes less than 30 seconds. Even a person like me could do it from the gas company, knowing layers.
Sure. We'll take a look at what you're talking about, and we'll get back to you.
One last thing. Where do we get the waiver forms? We have not seen those to submit our waivers for the sidewalks. We have
I
not been
do
able
not
to
know what you
find
mean.
that.
There's not an actual, we don't have an actual waiver request form. Typically, they come in writing to the township, but if you want to work with me together on that, I'd be happy to help you.
Okay, because we were under the understanding, with all due respect, that there was going to be a form that was to be submitted, so we were waiting for that process, because that's how it was communicated to us.
Yeah, it seems that maybe we just need to get together and have a conversation about what you think is maybe happening and yeah. I assure you, there are no
Well, it's always in
sidewalks coming to Houserville Road.
I said to you, I
Yeah.
respect, if anyone knows me, I've been
Yeah.
on the sides, and I understand most of the time it's due to a lack of communication.
Yeah, so I appreciate you coming before us
Thank you,
tonight,
sorry.
and yeah, we'll get that figured out.
Thank you for giving me the time. Good seeing all of you.
Great.
Can I say something to John?
Yeah.
Hey, John, regarding the pig and the poke, I do remember the days we were paying $13 an MCF and wondering if we had pulled the trigger a little too soon.
Yes.
In the end, it worked out, though.
But I think you know what I'm
Oh,
reading
yeah.
to you. I was at your office a lot of times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, other open discussion? Yes, please.
It's not an open discussion.
Other closed matters?
Yes.
Please state your
My
name.
name is Ruth Hout Pressler. I am about as old as Hazardville. Okay? I live in Upper Lamont. Is Pike Street that's been paved done? Because it's rough. Yesterday, the Art Alliance had people parked on both sides of the road. I come down Mount Nittany and you can't see with the cars all parked along the road. You can't see if somebody's coming. Today, I happen to be parked off the road in front of Ed Norwood's house across from Mays Memorials. Somebody came down Mary Street, went to make a left, and damn near got broadsided. There is a problem. It's slowed traffic down, but there are other problems now that didn't. I mean, you can't jump that curb to get out of somebody's way. I don't know what else to say. I've lived in this area my entire life. But there's a problem. And if you're gonna do from Dale Street down to College Avenue what you did in the center of Lamont, God help you. I remember when some of those houses were brought down from State College where University Drive is now. I told you, I'm as old as Hazardville. There's a lot of things I could tell you, like the red light in the center of Lamont. It wasn't there till my mother's friend got killed. I mean, I don't know what needs to be done, but there's a main problem now in Lamont that was never there.
Yeah.
Example, when Mace Memorials gets tombstones, where's the truck gonna park?
Well, we did put a lot of thought into Mays Memorial's
Do
deliveries.
you live in Lamont?
I do not. I mean, but I do think,
Does anybody live in Lamont?
I do think that our engine, yeah.
As far as the delivery of stones to Mays Memorials, now when that big truck comes in, it used to park right there on the edge of Pike Street and
Right.
block one of the lanes. That truck now goes to the back. We widened that alley out so that truck can get into the back of his
Okay.
property. The only time there's a truck loading memorials from Mays
It's
is it's
comments
the
only,
smaller
it's
truck
not discussion.
that you can get in on the parking lane. So they shouldn't be, there should no longer be blockage of Pike Street as a result of that. And as far as the site distance, I will go out and take a look at it. I don't know if someone was parked back further, than they should have been.
I understand what you're saying. I was parked in front of Ed Norwood's.
Yeah, mhm.
And I was over, because I keep hitting the curb. And the sewer or garbage truck, whatever you want to call it, came through, and I could put my hand on the truck. I've seen the buses, they're close, they're very close. My son has a pickup. He doesn't have big mirrors, but he's damn near lost them.
Okay.
Because other people, I mean, it's just that narrow. Is it the same width from the center of Pike Street to the curb as it is on Upper Breach Road?
Well,
On the other side
I'm
of
not
it.
real sure of that right now, but I will say that the parking spaces are 8 foot wide, which is the PennDOT
They're
standard
only
width.
8,
Yep.
because
That's a standard parking.
where he's at, they're 9.
Okay, yeah, we'll write these things down. Our engineer will go out and look at them, and
I'm sorry for.
you're good.
No.
We
The
appreciate,
same way, I used
Mm-hmm.
to live at the corner of White Hill and Perry Alley. It's now paved. After I sold the house, they waited 2 years and then they paved it.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
okay. Yeah, no,
You know,
that's what this time is
And
for.
I live up where the deer are. I
Yeah.
have lots of deer in my yard all the time.
That's what this time is for, you know, the public to come and give us their,
Okay.
what they're
Thank you.
seeing out in the real world out there. So thank you so
Well,
much.
I
Yeah,
had to wait until I no longer was employed to say anything,
okay.
okay?
Yeah,
And-
thank
and
you for your
it's-
comments.
The road is rough. It's a lousy pavement job. I don't know what you paid, but it's lousy. Coming down, they've got the hill, you know, right at Pike Street. I mean, if you live in Lamont, you know what I'm talking about. They're really sloped. And I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah, Don's taking notes.
Yep.
And he'll take a look at it.
No, thank you for your input.
Yeah,
Well, like I said, I've been here as long as Hazardville.
Yeah, we've
Thank
had
you
a
so
couple
much.
conversations over the years.
I'm sure we have, because you know. Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments for open discussion? All right, seeing none, I will move on. Any new agenda items to be added to tonight's agenda coming from council? None. All right, plans, P1, State College Food Bank Sketch Plan.
Thank you. The State College Area Food Bank is here tonight. We met with them about 2 weeks ago and went over the sketch plan. And since we've been having some success with sketch plans in the past, we figured that this would be a great time for them to come and present this to council. And just to let you know, the Planning Commission has not seen this yet. They will see the sketch plan on the 7th. So,
Okay, thank you. I just made it upside down.
can you flip that?
Okay, well, thank you for having us. I'm Elaine Beck. I'm our executive director at the food bank. We are very thrilled and excited to be consolidating our two locations into College Township. We are really positive and looking forward to having this space for us to greater serve Center County. We are going to be able to serve anyone in need throughout the county and all the other service agencies that are also providing food and services to those in need. So we're really looking forward to it, and thank you for having us. Michael is here from Killer Engineering, Michael Pratt, and he is by far more of an expert on all the things you probably have questions about. So I will let him give you the spiel.
Thank you. Good evening, Michael Pratt. The project site's at 105 or 169 Gerald Street. We're trying to sort that out. It appears to be two addresses, but it's located at the intersection of Gerald Street and Commercial Boulevard. I'm sorry, these PDFs don't project very well. They're light, but
That's on us, not you.
this is the existing site. And you're looking at the building here. Here's the driveway entrance to the existing 14,500 square foot building that was originally constructed back in the early 80s. Some of you may recall Sir Skate. That's what it was originally. More recently, a multi-tenant commercial building, variety of tenants, including an antique store, a law office, a cleaning business, etc. The food bank acquired the property last August, and they desire to renovate the existing building, construct several building additions, and redevelop the surrounding parking facilities in order to be able to relocate the facility from South Atherton Street to College Township. You kind of the proposed site now, the next one. So that's today. And that's what is being proposed. The existing property has a 14,500 square foot building, that's in white. The proposal is there's a small outbuilding out front that's going to be demolished. The proposal is to construct a 1,000 square foot addition to the front of the building, 3,000 square foot addition to the rear, and add a truck dock to the existing building as well, to be able to create suitable client service areas, office areas, pantry and warehouse areas in order to execute their mission. Associated site improvements include reconstructing the site asphalt pavement around the building. So it's an extension around the addition here, with parking here for clients and staff, and parking here, and a row of parking in the rear. Other improvements include new utility services to the building. They're all on Gerald Street: water, sewer, gas, and electric. Installation of a significant amount of buffering, screening, perimeter landscaping, particularly here. That's the northern buffer against this C1 general commercial zone and this PRD zone, 15-foot wide buffer with extensive plantings, but also perimeter plantings around the parking lot to screen the parking lot, screen headlights, and then shade tree plantings in the parking lot islands. The proposal also includes construction of stormwater management facility at the rear of the property, an earthen embankment and basin, to capture a certain amount of runoff from the site and infiltrate it back into the ground, and also to slow down post-developed stormwater rates to pre-developed conditions for a certain amount of the site. Access and parking requirements in accordance with the ordinance are a minimum of 38 to a maximum of 76 stalls. This proposal shows you 42 stalls on the site. The Americans with Disability Act requires 2 of those stalls to be handicap accessible. The food bank's actually proposing 3, 2 here and 1 here to meet those requirements. Areas in coverage, I mentioned the existing lot is 1.98 acres. And so the impervious coverage will increase slightly from existing conditions, and as well as the proposed building coverage. So the impervious coverage will increase to 69%, the building coverage to 23%. Regarding stormwater, the site's tributary to the Gerald Street collection and conveyance system. That in turn discharges to an unnamed tributary Spring Creek that runs along East College Avenue. So this proposal includes installation of new stormwater inlets and piping, as well as curbing to collect and convey runoff, some of it to the basin and the balance of it directly to the Gerald Street system. The food bank's also been made aware of their public sidewalk construction obligation, and this concept plan shows the beginning of a development of a concept for a proposed sidewalk installation along the property frontage from the driveway entrance along Gerald Street down to the intersection with Commercial Boulevard. That's tentative. That'll be developed further with further discussions with the township and your staff as to your preferred alignment arrangements. This is a land development under your ordinances, so ultimately we'll be seeking your approval of that land development plan. Other permits and approvals include a erosion sedimentation control plan from the Conservation District, an MPS permit from DEP, and a zoning permit from you folks as well. Survey and mapping is completed, design's underway now, and the food bank intends to make a formal land development plan submission by early March, so we'll be back in front of you in the coming months to present and discuss that plan. In the meantime, we're here tonight. If there are any comments that you make, you folks have any questions for us?
Thank you so much. Questions, comments? I'll start with Rich.
So staff has or hasn't met?
Yeah, we've had preliminary conversations with Michael and with the food bank folks. They've been very productive. Essentially, this is a reuse of an existing facility with modifications as necessary. So we have, in fact, met with them at least on one occasion that I've been involved in, and possibly more than that. So either Lindsay or Dawn, I don't know if there's anything additional there.
My guess is Rich's question stems from the sheer number of...
Well, yeah, some of these are items that we generally don't opine on until later, if needed. And so I'm just curious.
Okay, I'm not, I don't grasp that.
Oh, okay.
In the packet.
The permitted use food bank, we're making a judgment on the interpretation of
Okay.
that. The parking model, we're making a judgment on whether it meets that. Stormwater management, we're making a judgment on
Okay,
her
Lindsay,
opinion.
I'm still,
So we met, when we met with Michael and the food bank not too long ago, we took a look at the sketch plan and told him what could be missing and what needs to be considered. And he just responded to that day in a letter,
Okay.
if that helps.
Yeah, and as far as stormwater goes, we pointed out what was required, and they're showing something, and we may have said, yeah, that appears to be what we're looking for.
We didn't do any sort
Oh,
of.
so this
There's
is
no
a
actual
summary of
review.
your conversation with
Yes.
them. Gotcha, okay.
Okay, so what are we being asked to
It's
do
a,
now?
it's a sketch plan. So really, this may be a more developed sketch plan than what we are used to seeing.
Okay.
And perhaps this is where I'm having the confusion. But it is a sketch plan nonetheless, and they're here this evening to receive generalized comments. There are obviously some specifics that are on this plan, but I don't believe that that takes away from your ability to make generalized comments.
Okay, my generalized comment is, I like that we're reusing existing structure for a higher purpose.
Thanks, Rich.
I'm still thoroughly confused with the 5 questions.
Okay, that's what I'm seeing happening.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of our agenda packet item, we have the letter from Keller Engineers, which is summarizing the questions that came up between staff and Keller. Though us reading them in our packet the way that they were presented to us makes it look like we are being asked those questions tonight. We are not being asked those questions tonight. Take that, remove that from our minds.
You are not being asked this my
Okay,
apologies.
that's okay.
I get it now. No, you're not being asked those questions tonight.
Okay.
Were some of those questions answered? Yeah?
Yes.
I believe that they were.
Oh, okay.
And to clarify, in fairness to the food bank, some of those questions would be key to hear answers before the time and effort was spent developing a plan if there were any issues. So that's why we posed those specifically in writing as part of the concept plan submission.
So you haven't heard, or you have heard?
We have in some of them, stormwater for sure, we've gotten clarification on that. I haven't heard any opposition to the permitted use notion, I haven't heard any opposition to the parking model notion.
Well, the permitted use, am I correct, that's not ours, that's the zoning officer.
Zoning officers, and I
Right.
think that's been asked and answered.
Okay.
To this
and-
point.
and
Yes,
the
those,
park-
those were discussed at our
Sure,
preliminary
sure.
meetings.
That's fine.
And this is how we came to what they've presented.
Okay, is there a specific question that you need some feedback on how council would view something on this?
Yeah, is there anything regarding those
From
questions
staff
that you would like to hear from
or-
us tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that, the second question there, because we don't have a parking standard for community food bank, we have made, and at least at this point in time, a preliminary determination that we would basically treat this like a retail wholesale situation, and it is parked according to that. So that has been kind of a staff judgment at this point in time, and again, we don't have a specific standard for this specific use. So that would be something, if council felt that that might be inappropriate, that would be helpful to know now. So that's.
Okay, towards that, I would only offer, I'm familiar with your current location, and do you happen to know how many stalls are there and how that compares to this projected for this site in bringing all that together?
20. I'm like sitting here counting in my head, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
It wasn't a big number, I knew that.
Not many.
We have 20 now, this is almost double that.
Right. Which is
Been in
needed.
our parking lot now,
Yeah.
anything more than 20 is helpful.
Yes, that was kind of where I was going with that. The real life scenario into this is that
This
you,
seems like a
you don't have enough at your current location. So is this, is that, I mean, that's really what drives this as much as anything is.
This number is based upon an operations model that will be submitted with the
Right.
land development plan.
Good.
It shows you how clientele arrive at the facility, volunteers, et cetera.
Wonderful.
Right, so that's great. The truck apron and the public sidewalk, that's, I think, is potentially in our bailiwick, and everything. And I think, especially for this use, I think the sidewalk is a very important item on that. It's an interesting that's an interesting intersection right there.
Is that a euphemism?
So, we really have to be protective in that location.
And that's why you're seeing such a developed plan.
Right.
2 acres is a small site. And
Yep.
there's a lot of use being made of this site.
Well, especially if you're bringing a WB 67 in there.
Occasionally, yes, sir.
Yeah, so, that's all I have.
Thank you. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Step one. All right, Eric.
Yeah, sketch plan comment, sure. Thanks for coming. I didn't catch your name, but
Elaine.
Elaine, okay. And thanks for the good work you do in the community. Did I hear you say you expect to serve clients from all over the county?
So, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We
I didn't-
currently serve across the county in different ways. So our pantry is primarily kind of College, Patton, Borough, kind of the bottom half of the county, but we are seeing an increased need from the northern part of the county, kind of coming into State College. So we like being just a little bit further out of town here, closer to the highway, easier access that way. But we're still exploring kind of how we open the doors to everybody, but we are not turning people away now, and we will definitely not be turning away people in this building. So we're definitely will be accepting people throughout the entire county. We also realize that every single person in Center County can't come through our doors, so we work really hard to help the other pantries that are throughout the county. So in this facility, we could be holding supplies and food donations that we can then transport out to Center Hall or Howard or the Faith Center to make sure that they have the resources they need to serve through their pantry.
Okay, well, that's a good lead-in then to my comment, but before I go there, thank you for the service that you provide, and I think the location is ideal if you're looking to, your clientele base will be coming countywide. You know, we learned that when the senior center was located to the mall. I mean, this is a great location for people coming in from Bellefonte and other areas of the county. Along those lines, you know, I chuckled a bit on the public sidewalk question that was posed in here. Given the service you're going to provide and the clientele you're going to serve, I don't think you're going to find much sympathy if you're looking to get the sidewalk construction waived at the Planning Commission, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to get much sympathy here. Philosophically, the question that's posed in here is does something about would the sidewalk benefit the township, and what would it score in our new sidewalk? Well, you know, you're going to be serving clientele that are going to be arriving all different modes. And one of the reasons Burger King put the sidewalk in between College and Avenue up to your location is not necessarily to serve them. So you constructing that sidewalk is your piece, your contribution to the community mobility, not the township, but the entire center region. And yeah, it's a small ask, but everybody does it. And I think it's even more critical given what we anticipate how your clients will be arriving. You know, not everybody's going to pull up in their Expedition and do shopping there. So anyways, just to comment to staff, if indeed the numerical rating doesn't reach the threshold, then we need to revisit the threshold. This is one of the first real life.
We have already checked that it meets the
It
threshold.
does?
Yes.
Okay, then I feel a lot better about the threshold we set. So they've already got that answer?
I don't know if I provided you the score, Michael, or not, but
No,
yeah.
I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah.
When we were curious, and by way of explanation, when we had our coordination meeting, there was a very much an unknown circumstance as to whether a sidewalk would actually fit there.
Okay.
It's relatively steep, but we've investigated that since, and it does. That's why it's on the plan. There was also some discussion about potential alternative alignments. The food bank doesn't intend to request a waiver, they just want to know where you would prefer a sidewalk.
Okay.
To the
That
best
makes me
advantage
feel
of the
better.
township.
And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the fine work you're doing and the fine work Elaine is doing. That's just a really sensitive and important issue, and you can see it already raised some passions among, our mobility plan has already raised some passions among the residents, so we have a responsibility, so.
Yeah, and
That's
why
my,
it appears in the plan in front of you tonight, yeah.
that's the extent of my sketch plan level comments.
Thank you, Eric. Very thoughtful. Dustin?
So while we're talking sidewalks, so the lot line, does it extend out, Pat, to Commercial Boulevard?
The lot
And
line,
kind of a,
lot line's effectively what you see in color. So
Okay,
you have wide right of way.
so should we be extending the sidewalk out to the corner of the lot line, or no?
Well, here's the lot line, southern. This area, this gore is your right of way, your street right of way. It's an extra wide right of way. So the sidewalk's entirely in your right of way. A little bit here is not, it's too tight, so you'll need an easement from this property owner, a public sidewalk easement. And that's that line shown in the plan.
But along Commercial Boulevard? That's what I'm talking
Dustin's talking about
about. Yeah.
bringing it
extending
up
out this
on the
way.
commercial.
On the
well,
commercial.
Oh, I see. So you would want it extended that distance as well?
To the end of the property line.
Yeah, is it possible? Yes, it is. We were just connecting, we were trying to connect focal points. The new sidewalk in the Burger King restaurant is terminated right about there, but yeah, that can be considered if desired.
Adam, did you have a question about that?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
No, I'm thoroughly confused, that's okay. And it has nothing to do with Dustin's
Okay.
question.
oh. Okay.
This is the food bank.
Thanks.
Yeah, but thanks for coming. I'm glad that you guys are able to get this building, since you seem to have outgrown your current place quite a while ago. So that's very, thanks for coming. I mean, that's all I have. And I like the vegetation, you know, putting those buffers around.
All right. Rob?
Yeah, thank you for coming, and I appreciate your service. I know how badly it's needed in the community, and I'm glad to see that you're able to expand your facility. And I like the idea that you'll have the ability to store and service other food banks in our region, because I know the need is broad. The only question I had, I think it tags on with what you were asking, Eric, is how accessible is this for people who would be coming from the area on public transport? I'm trying to picture somebody coming up to the food bank from, say, the bus line on College Ave.
I don't have the number in my head, but I could get it for you. The majority of our clients don't actually take the bus. The amount of food they receive is equivalent of about 2 weeks. So if you have more than 2 people in your house, that's at least a grocery cart, if not 2.
That's a good point.
So we have been providing transportation for those
Okay.
families to get home. So some of them will arrive on the bus, but then go home in an Uber because we send them home that way. I would say the majority of our clients either carpool or come together or get dropped off by a ride. Like a friend will drop them off and then we get them home.
Thank you, and thank you for that service, getting people home with their food.
If they arrive by bus, they'll walk up from
Right.
College Avenue.
Yep.
All right, any questions from the public? You'll see it, right, at Planning Commission. Have you seen this yet? No, you'll see it. And anybody online? I don't, nope, all right. Okay. Yeah, all my comments have been asked. It's a great location. I absolutely see what you're doing there. Of course, College Township really is excited about the reuse, so, and the improvements. Stormwater, from what I gathered, your plan, from what I read a little bit, your capacity for the stormwater is just for the additional impervious. Does it exceed that at all, or it's pretty much percentage to percentage?
It handles the differential in the increase in impervious coverage from existing what it is today to what this will be. So that difference, and that's in terms of volume and infiltration on the site. Rate control, there actually is a little bit of extra, just
Okay.
because of the size of the basin. And otherwise, safe conveyance is also being provided for. The curb keeps the water contained in the site into inlet systems and pipes.
Okay,
So it's actually going to reduce site offlow to the north and west
because of the improvements you're making within the,
because of the grading mostly, but
Yeah.
it's quantifiable, and you'll see that in the stormwater report.
great, great. It's kind of what I wanted to hear, so thank you. Yeah,
Question for staff, what is allowed impervious coverage there?
70%, I believe 30% building, 70% total.
Good. Okay.
gotcha. All right. Without any further ado, we will consider your sketch plan received.
Thank you, this was helpful. Thank you.
Great, great, I'm glad. Thank you for bringing it. It helps us too when it comes back around again. All right, moving on to reports. Manager's update.
Yes, thank you. Couple of items here to report. Primarily, I did want to point out that we have a date that is set for DPZ to be in town, and I think that is February 27th through March 1st, I believe, in conjunction with the Dale Summit Plan as well as our form-based code project. So that'll be the first time that they are on site, and we look forward to kicking things off with them and working with their team. Moving on through the manager's update. The next item I did want to mention is the LTAC Center Hills Village traffic calming project is on the street and is being voted upon by the study area, the property owners in that study area. And we heard tonight during public comment what that project consists of. Voting will actually close, be finalized and cut off at 5 o'clock tomorrow. And we encourage people either to mail, hopefully they've done it before now, mail their responses, their ballots back to the township, but we also are utilizing our drop box that we have here at the front door as well. So anything that is in the drop box at 5 o'clock tomorrow or is received in tomorrow's mail will in fact be counted, and at that point the votes will, the voting will have ceased. I can say that there has been a very good response in terms of overall votes received, and I believe that we've clearly exceeded the threshold of the 60% that is required to move on to the next stage, which is the actual counting of yeses and nos in terms of considering the traffic calming solutions that have been proposed. So that's the report on the voting with respect to the LTAC project. Thompson Woods Preserve, we do have now all the appointments made. On our end, we have been in communication with the Center Region Parks and Rec Authority, who has a single appointment to make, and we have been told that that will occur at their regular meeting on February 16th. And we are still awaiting the 2 appointees from State College Borough. But Mike, am I correct? The entire
advisory team?
Thank you.
Yeah, the advisory committee. It is entirely full at this point.
So everybody that we had identified has provided names, and we have individuals that are willing to serve on that.
Right. The three appointments that Adam referenced are on the governance committee. Remember, it's a 2-committee structure, so those appointments are still pending, but we're getting there. We're hoping to March.
And lastly, just a note, I'm sure everyone is aware that the Gaming Control Board did award the license to State College Gaming at their meeting that was held on the 25th of January. And that now opens the 30-day appeal period of that decision. And any appeals by aggrieved parties will be made directly to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Keep in mind that the award represents one in a 2-step process. There is an award process, and then there is an issuance process. And our understanding is that unless and until all legal matters have been resolved, there will be no issuing of a license. So that is the current status as best we know it at this point in time. And that concludes my report. If there are questions, I will be happy to try to answer.
Any questions from the public? All right, Speak now. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for all the work you're doing on those things too. All right, COG reports. I will start. I have had no meetings, so I'll move on to Dustin.
I have none.
Eric?
I had the one today that I couldn't attend. I think y'all got the email on the, I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet because it's not up.
We will wait for your.
You'll see the one agenda item at exec.
Okay. Rich?
Yeah, Parks Governance was supposed to have met on the 25th, but it was canceled with the storm.
Oh.
And also the Half Moon representative hasn't been set yet,
Oh,
has been appointed by Half Moon Township.
okay. And Susan?
Nothing to report.
Great. Anything additional regarding that? No. Okay. PC? No report.
No meeting, no report.
No meeting, no report, he says. That
You
is,
sat here all night to tell us that?
I just need to be here, I'll just enjoy this, really.
me too. All right, diversity, equity, and inclusion reports.
I would just make a note that staff has had some discussions in-house about what we can do more in terms of a public-facing DEI reference on our website. We're working on that. There's actually Ferguson Township, I'll tip my cap to them. They have a pretty good model
Nice.
out there that we're going to try to replicate. And again, just be out in front a little bit more as we continue to expand our efforts.
Good idea, good work. And then also just to throw out there that it is February and it is Black History Month. So take a moment to celebrate Black history, mourn Black history. A lot to do both ways there. And anything additional? Okay. Moving right along. Consent agenda. Let me find it. There it is. Okay, thanks, Jen. Oh, I love your agendas. Jen's back. Okay, CA1, approval of the minutes. I just had to,
What a dick.
approval of the minutes. A, January 3rd reorganization meeting. B, January 3rd regular meeting. C, January 19th regular meeting. CA2, receipt approval of correspondence. A, an email from Daniel Materna, January 23 regarding the casino. Another email from Daniel Materna, January 24th regarding the casino. C, email from PADEP, January 25th regarding Benner investigation update. D, another email from Daniel Materna, January 26th regarding the casino. And E, a letter from Representative Takak, January 30th regarding PennDOT Greenlight Go grant application for Banner Pike corridor system. CA3, there is nothing. Anything to be pulled?
CA2C is CA2E.
C and E. Anything else? All right, I'll accept a motion to approve all but CA2, C, and E.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I see none. Eric?
We are referenced, College Township Water Authority is referenced in CA2C. I think in at least frequently asked questions, if not the response letter. Are we doing anything, is the Water Authority monitoring PFOA or PFOS content?
Yeah, I'll refer to our operations guru.
Sure. Actually, the EPA tagged us as being testing for the UCMR, which is the unregulated fifth contaminant rule, which includes 29 different PFAS. That we actually did earlier in January, and we have to do twice a year because we're a groundwater source. DEP has since just published the PFAS rules in PA Bulletin 14, and it becomes effective for us January 1st of next year, and we will be required to test quarterly for PFAS and
PFAS.
PFAS and FAS, yes, the two of them. So, and as far as I know, we will continue to do the EPA testing as long as they require it. But since DEP now has a rule, we may be able to pull away from the EPA testing. But yes, we are.
Okay.
We don't have any results yet because we just took the first samples in
All right, well,
January.
that was my other question, because they've apparently changed the threshold.
They did.
And I assumed up until now it was all people's private wells that were being tested, so I was
Yes.
surprised to see us. Is the geographic area been expanded? Is that why?
No, the PFAS and the PFAS are requirements for all water systems, are they not?
Yes, it's just your sampling schedule is based on the size and its entry point into the system. So we are, at this point, are only taking it at the 2 stations.
Okay. That's all I had on C. And then the question on E is the grant application for like signal upgrades or something? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just a continuation of upgrades, controllers, I believe, and I know there's other elements. Amy, I don't know if you recall off the top of your head.
Specifically, does the upgrades allow for preemption and priority?
I'll be honest, Eric, I'm not sure on that question.
Because at one time, we were doing that. As we were upgrading, we were allowing for that increased functionality, even though we weren't using it. Well, the fire company would use it.
Right, I believe that there is, all the municipalities, regional municipalities have an ordinance that when a signal goes in, it must have preemption.
Okay.
Priority is a totally different animal, and that's only by a study for the buses and that, so.
Okay, so we aren't,
I don't believe we have an ordinance that requires us to put it in as priority, and I don't know of any areas that we're actively seeking to put it in for, as priority. Preemption is definitely a go, yes.
Yeah, the priority is only on the Atherton Street corridor, correct?
Yeah.
Can someone give me a layman's
Yeah.
definition of those two
For those who
things?
don't know about fire
Traffic
trucks
stuff,
and,
yeah.
Well, preemption is public service vehicles,
Okay.
and in this particular case, fire trucks, actually have the ability to
Preempt the cycle.
to preempt the cycle. So to shorten the cycle in order to catch a light, extend a light, they have the ability to do that.
priority.
Priority, yeah.
And I may need some help on this one.
actually, priority will allow you to shorten the cycle.
Okay.
Preemption changes it.
Yes.
As the fire truck's coming down the road, light turns green.
Yeah. Turn
And
the
it
red
turns
light.
Priority, yeah, priority signal or a signal will either extend the green for a small amount of time or preempt, or shorten it to give the bus the ability to get through. But the preemption, again, changes it. When it catches that signal, then it goes into the clearance mode and turns it to, so it gets the main line green.
Okay, thank you.
And priority can be contingent on time of day, level of
Right.
traffic.
It's not always a given.
Right, it can be based on whether the bus is running late, you know, there's a lot of flexibility in there. But if the incremental cost is not that much, it just seems that we would be, particularly in that corridor, could be well-served in the future to have that in place as part of this upgrade. I thought other townships were doing it.
That'd be a good conversation,
If we
maybe
could
at
just look
a
into
broader level.
I don't know if that ship has sailed and or if the grant is specific.
I know this is what I'm thinking of, because I know we had a lot of different grant applications over the last several weeks or months. This was one for more of the communications that PennDOT takes care of through its command center. So a lot of the improvements that we would do would be tied to that. But, so I don't know if priority would be included, we can certainly look into it.
But curious as to how much of a change, how simple, if it's a real simple, add another little, what do you call those little things you plug in?
Module.
Yeah.
What?
Module?
Yeah, if it's just adding another module, or if there is a design element that would cause, you know, a major rewrite.
All right, I think message received. Great. Anything else on that item? All right, will you make a motion to approve C, A, C, and E?
I move to approve CA2C and to accept CA2C and CA2E.
Second.
Dustin seconded that.
Yes.
All those
A
in
little
favor?
slow there, Rich.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Moving on to old business, OB1, Spring Creek Watershed Commission bylaws.
Yeah,
Adam?
This is a continuation of a conversation that we had a few weeks ago relative to proposed changes in bylaws at the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. I know that since we had that conversation, there's been, either before or immediately after, there was a Spring Creek Watershed Commission meeting. And I know that the chair of that august body is with us this evening, and I will defer the rest of the comments to Dustin.
Yeah, simply just looking to see if we have any additional comments since the last time you looked at it. And I saw Kevin's here too, so if you want to add anything, Kevin. But Kevin Abbey, if you guys don't know him, I think you all do. But yeah, so any additional comments? I know I looked back through our minutes actually, which were part of our consent agenda, and we had the one about the at-large member, and clarifying that, but if there was anything additional since then, and in this packet too, the articles of agreement that we found our signed copy are also included too, so.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. So there you go, we have a signed copy, yeah.
Just from us, just us.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it seems, that every municipality has their signed copy. Yep.
From 2007.
Good find. It's pretty good. All right, thank you. Any comments? Do you like what you see? Do you see what you said?
Yeah, and I can just add, we had recognized maybe a few de minimis changes, like a couple editorial, like I think there was one or two like Center Daily Times that need to be struck again and put back in, the way the rest of it reads now, just paper, right? Something like that, newspaper, yeah. Instead of a specific paragraph.
Paper of general circulation, I think is the term, something like that.
That's the one. Widely, general circulation. All right, I'm just looking for head nods. All right, and if somebody feels, is this for motion, or is this just head nods and we're
It's
good?
head nods, yeah.
All right,
Consensus for review.
all right.
And
Any staff
I'll
have
just
any?
add that Paul Takak has inserted himself into our agenda twice now.
I've noticed, he can't let go.
He can't let go. Yeah.
That's a good point, Dustin.
Yeah, the only thing is just a clarification.
Please.
This was for the purpose of receiving feedback and comment. I'm assuming that once the commission hears all feedback and comment, a final version will be pulled together, and then at that point, does it stay within the commission, or do the bylaws come back for approval by the individual municipalities? I don't believe it does.
Yeah, our understanding is that the commission has full power to adopt the bylaws. And barring any major changes, so if it's all minimal, editorial things, if there's any large comments, obviously we'll address those. So you may see that again if there's any major changes, but the expectation is, if there are minimal changes, that we would adopt them.
Okay.
Now, Dustin, Harris Township was going to have their solicitor.
Or vote on them, not adopt them.
Review the agreement with the bylaws and make sure that he did not feel there were any issues. I don't know if we've heard back from him yet or not.
No, I haven't. So I reached out to Harris Township today to see if they had that feedback, and they assured that they would get it back to the commission and myself next week sometime prior to our next meeting, which is 15 February.
Great, thank you. Thanks for doing that work.
So, yeah, coming back to that, thanks for running that out, Dawn. If Harris Township happens to come back with, major requests, then obviously we would probably table it again and not vote on it, which is what happened at the last one.
Right, yeah, go ahead.
Just one, is this similar to what we just went through with the IDA, in that this is amended and restated, or it's not titled?
I believe it's amended and restated.
Okay, so that might be a
But that may be
suggestion
something
to add to the header on
Sure.
it, so that that's clear, that this is not,
The original.
well, that this amends, and
Right.
this is the complete document, that you don't have to bounce it off of several other documents.
Got it.
Okay,
Good comment.
thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, we will finish OB1. Thank you, Dustin. Moving on to NB1, draft official map and ordinance. Lindsay.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to present to council the first draft of the official map and ultimately asking council to remand the map to the Planning Commission to begin the 45-day review period set forth by the MPC. Just to give you an overview, the official map is an ordinance and a map and a tool provided to local governments to use. It's not a requirement of the MPC. It's an option, and we've had one in place now for years, and it was last updated in November of 2015. Go ahead, Mike, to the next slide. The MPC allows for official maps to include, all of our public streets and sidewalks and open space, any public land that the township owns, and designating something on the official map will allow for us to eventually,
Require developers to conform to the intent of the official map.
Yes, so thanks, Adam. So that is typically, though official maps follow some type of plan, newly adopted plan. The comp plan is mentioned in the MPC, but since we just updated our pedestrian facilities master plan, that is what we're using to update the official map. This first draft, go ahead, Mike, just shows some of the things that we did here on a staff level and as a result of the pedestrian facilities master plan. We removed some things like Bollesburg Road. That was a result of the PED plan. Orchard Road to Porter Road, we removed that because it's been completed, which is exciting. The Puddintown Road extension, if you remember a few years back, we discussed this over at the Squirrel Drive at the Aspen Heights development just across the street, and considering removing a Stewart Drive extension, but this is the first draft, so all of this is still up for discussion. We're including our primary and secondary corridors and our potential greenways. And we're also going to be updating any definitions within the ordinance itself, the written part. We're accounting for all of our land and any of the other MPC requirements we're going to take care of with this process. So tonight, the first draft is being presented to council, requesting you remand to Planning Commission. Planning Commission will have the opportunity to review the map a few times. Same with the Parks and Recreation Committee. It's not a requirement that they review the official map, but it is recommended.
Great.
The PC then will recommend the map to council. Council will set a public hearing, which will start another 45-day review period. And that's the time when the Center Regional Planning Agency and Commission will see the map, plus any adjacent municipalities. The MPC requires anything that's going to lead into an adjacent municipality on our map, they must be notified, but we typically do that anyways with our plans and ordinance changes. Then the public hearing will be held, and the final step will be the township will record the official map with the county recorder of deeds office. Go ahead, Mike. I think there's one more. So that's our next step. We're going to take what you see tonight to the Planning Commission with the text and the map and start from there and see if we have everything we accounted for on the pedestrian facilities master plan, and that's kind of where we are. So bearing any substantive changes tonight or anything that you would rather see before you remand to the Planning Commission, that's what we're asking for tonight, is that remand.
All right, great. Nice introduction. I'm going to start at the experienced end of the table since you have been through a couple of these. That'll give our more newly elected officials a second to feel like they have their feet under them about this topic. So, well, Rich is gone. Eric?
I couldn't resist a $13 an MCF comment to John. I'm sorry, but he asked for it. That's an inside joke, I'm sorry. We were paying $13 an MCF just a few years after we converted over to natural gas, which was about 4 times the price of diesel at the time. It was his pig in a poke. In the end, we ended up saving considerable money because, anyways.
Is that about?
That's about the official map.
I felt I had
I don't know if you know,
Two
but we're on
questions.
MB1.
2 questions.
I'm not the only one.
Exactly.
Oh, is that why you were confused?
No.
He was also still
I'll
stuck
tell
in.
you all later why.
I remember the discussion about pulling the rail bed out that went through the quarry.
Right.
But I just need to hear it again because it's so hard for me to give that up because the grade's there. I mean, I assume the right of way is gone and it would be a very cumbersome, it's almost like.
Sell it back to us, Mike.
So,
Mike or Adam?
Oh.
do you want to start? or-
I mean, are you gonna capture the county?
Briefly, I remember
County
that
plan
we
as
all
well?
bought into it.
I'll let you start.
We all understood the logic.
Catch that
Before you start,
briefly.
could you give me just a little bit of background?
I've already given him a hard time tonight.
What street are you talking about?
Old
We're
Wolfsburg
talking
Road.
about what Lindsay had identified for potential removal from the official map.
Specifically, Old Bowlesburg.
Well, right.
Just to.
However, understand it's not the road.
Yes,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so what, and what,
It's
if you look
theoretically
at our
adjacent.
existing official map, you would see that there is, off of Bowlesburg Road, that follows the existing rail line that goes through the quarry. There is an official map line that has been drawn there. One of the reasons that line appeared on the map when it did, and I'm not even sure how many years ago that was now, was a result of the county's rails to trails plan.
Penns Valley,
That-
Brush Valley.
I'm sorry?
It was, yeah, I'll jump in. I'll jump in.
Now you.
Perfect
Now
transition. Look at that.
Smooth.
So tell me for a while.
Yeah, so what Adam is referencing is a study, and it was probably in that 14 to 15 timeframe, 2014 to 15 timeframe, that the county conducted, looking at the Penns Valley and Brush Valley rail trails. So it looked at the old abandoned rail lines that carried out through Penns Valley and Brush Valley. It was a 27-mile snapshot of what was out there. One of those pieces was along Bowlesburg Road into Lamont. The project manager at the time may or may not be sitting at the table. But what happened is ultimately it was a recognition in that study, that study that was compiled, that was not a technically feasible section right now due to the fact that the quarry is sitting in the middle of it. With the recognition that the road does go through there, you can traverse it, but in order to achieve what was envisioned in that plan and what was envisioned through the official map, it's going to require some change in how the quarry functions. And that's not available for the foreseeable future. At this point, we don't know when quarry operations would cease out there. So it was a recognition of putting that line on the paper may result in some unneeded angst for something that's just not coming anytime soon.
And although that's being proposed to be removed, we are, however, identifying additional bike lanes or bike ways along the actual Bowlesburg Road. So while.
It's bike lanes.
Bike
right?
lanes, okay.
Yeah.
While
That's a little hard to tell
the
the difference.
original railroad bed path is being considered for removal from the official map,
Yeah.
it is being replaced with, in a new version of the official map, a proposed series of bike lanes on Bowlesburg Road.
Right on the road.
Thanks, just needed a refresher on that, because it's really hard to just support something that's already graded, it exists, but I understand the right-of-way was seeded many, many years ago. So, yeah. And last question, I must have missed a discussion about Stewart.
That was something that we discussed on a staff level when we
Oh.
were updating this, and just to throw it on there for the first draft for consideration.
Okay, so we're adding Stewart.
No, we were gonna consider taking it off, but some things are moving forward that we may go
Where is
go
Stewart?
back and.
Corning, it's
Oh,
essentially,
right.
it's a back entrance, if you will.
Over to the Corning water tank.
I see it. I remember.
Okay, so it's not the red line on the map that
Actually,
lines up with the signalized intersection by the old Sears entrance to the mall?
yeah, it is. That's actually exactly the line that we are talking about removing.
Okay, because it does line up with the existing signalized intersection. It seems like if we were going to feed traffic out,
We put it there.
it seems like that would be the preferred location to.
Yeah, that's something that's on our
Oh.
list. I highlighted it in our PowerPoint presentation, so we would remember to discuss that further.
Okay. So it's currently on there. That's the red line.
Yeah, that's the red line.
Okay.
But the consideration to take it off is due to, is this another, it's just never gonna happen, quote unquote?
I don't think so. I think since Decibel Road was proposed and Stewart, connects there, I think that's maybe the rationale behind taking it off. But when I was speaking with our GIS technician the other day, we were kind of thinking back, wondering why we considered that. So something that I have to look back at my notes.
Why
I
you
can-
considered taking it off?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why.
Comes straight on the other
I
side.
know why it was on. I mean, it was, and you and I just didn't have an opportunity to have the conversation, apparently. But it was on because there are at least 3 large industrial lots
Yeah.
that are there that are presently vacant. That in theory, should they develop, that would be a logical ingress-egress point or a street point. There are obviously some grade challenges there with the railroad and the railroad bed, some other issues there, I believe. But the initial placement on the map was because of those 3 undeveloped, currently industrially zoned lots, and they're sizable lots.
I'm fine with letting the planning commission weigh in on it, because that's
And
all
I
we're
think
doing
that's
tonight.
really what Lindsay's intent is.
But I just wanted, that one surprised me, because I don't remember it, so I was looking for some background.
Is the map we're looking at edited to reflect the changes you're suggesting, or is it the current map?
No, it does change. I apologize. I mean, you can see that the Bollesburg Road one Bollesburg rail trail came off. But yeah, I'm not sure why that one snuck back on there, but it's a good thing that it is there for us to consider, I think.
So that answers my question. I mean, I'm curious, I'd like to hear what the planning commission says, and then, we'll see it again, so that's all I had, Carl.
Thanks. Rich?
No, the only thing I would add that one of the property owners on the Bollesburg Road segment specifically asked us to consider removing it as well, so it would be appropriate that we take that up too, so. But for the reasons that I think planning commission will weigh in on everything else appropriately. Thank you.
I would look to planning commission to give me more information, so looking at the process,
Do you have any questions about it?
I don't.
Okay, Dustin.
Since we're still talking that old Bollesburg, does it have to be so I'm interested to understand which property owner took exception to it, because, I mean, it runs into Lamont, right? So could we just maybe develop that portion that goes, just from Lamont, in over towards the quarry and stop there instead of going the whole way through the quarry? You know what I mean?
As
that's
an
something-
option, alternative to running along
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? And maybe then turn it into the bike lanes once you get past Orchard the development there on the Orchard side, right?
Well, there's actually a garage built over a portion of it, and I believe the right-of-way has reverted back in some cases to the property owners. It wasn't a fee simple, it was an easement that once the railroad was abandoned, I believe that then it reverted back to the property owners. So it's some pieces are intact, some aren't.
Yeah,
Okay.
If I can dust off my memory, I think the reversion predated rail banking legislation. So it reverted back to original property owners. And that's, to just kind of backstory with the actual full study, that was the challenge that presented itself, particularly as you made it out into the Penns Valley, is you were dealing with hundreds of individual property owners, not long contiguous segments of rail banked sections. So
Okay.
that plan eventually just fractured into small kind of community-based rail system, or trail systems.
Yeah, just having living on that side of Lamont, I just routinely would see people then trespassing on that. Just walking through, yeah. Okay, yeah, just still using it. All right, anyhow,
Which is where the concern
yeah, yeah. I got
That's
a
what's
couple
so
other
heartbreaking
questions.
about letting it go, because it's graded, I mean, all the hard work's done as far as,
all the expensive work.
Just a
yeah.
couple other
There's
questions.
those property rights that get in the way now.
That's the hard work.
Yeah. Couple other questions and comments. First comment, I didn't see, all our parks are labeled Oak Hall is not. I didn't see a title on it. Down there in the right corner, right?
It's a secret.
Just an oversight.
So can someone define for me what the greenway is again? What a
The-
greenway is?
Go ahead.
So the greenways are the areas in the pedestrian facilities master plan. Mike, can definitely feel free to jump in. Those were the areas that, weren't necessarily along a road that would make it easy to develop. It was just something that would, go through a different portion of properties, calling it a greenway.
Yeah, it's not envisioned as your traditional, as you think of a traditional pathway. It's more of, I think they use the term like ribbon of green. It's, you're gonna have a portion of property that's passable, but doesn't have a dedicated trail surface on it.
Okay.
And again, these are just envisioned as ways to make connections in places where they're basically physically not possible. So a good example
So,
is
yeah,
right
that
there.
is one right there
Right.
going by Lime Rock Terrace Park,
Yeah.
Parklet? Okay, I just wanted to make sure
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry, up
seeing the
here.
right colors
Yeah,
too.
and again, this was just envisioned as a different type of connectivity
Cool.
to link the community.
Yeah, cool.
It's a good thing to define though, Dustin, so we can add that definition for sure.
Does that go along the old rail there?
In part, yeah, I believe it does, and throughout that section, if I recall correctly. It's been a little while since I looked at it.
Oh,
And
interesting.
again, same kind of issues may present itself there with property owners and what have you. It's just kind of envisioned as a potential opportunity sometime in the future.
That one's actually probably more feasible than the one out by Old Bullsburg because it is still a functioning rail.
Right.
Except there are parts of it that are closed, and I think that part right there is that greenway.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, so I had that question there. And then I'm assuming, after we move this on and we update this, that we're probably gonna have to update it again after the Dale Summit Area Plan study, right? Okay.
Yeah, not knowing what's necessarily coming from that and what's in the offing. We don't have anything to offer at this time. But yeah, as that plan starts to really plant roots and we get a better picture, it's 100% correct.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we wanted to seize the opportunity of the approved pedestrian facilities plan, because it has been some time since this has been reevaluated, updated, and make sure that we're incorporating and capturing those elements. Because we want those to be on the plan as any potential future developments come through.
Sorry, I had one last one, since I was talking about park titling. Maybe just draw a little line down to that little off section on Stony Batter. We have it in green, which I think actually wasn't on the old map, but probably don't, you can't write Stony Batter in there, it'd be pretty small type. But something like that,
Oh, they can fit it.
yeah. That's the old shale pit part, right?
This is, just confirming, this is the 2015 map, so there's gonna be all kinds of updates from what's going.
This is with the exception of what we just talked about at Stewart Drive. This is what is being proposed for the 2023 updates.
Okay, but it's just, okay, so the titling, last update, 11/18/2015 is just informational.
Correct.
Okay, there's, all right.
Yeah.
We'll see, there's
Which-
a couple others, but.
Right,
you
and,
guys will
and
get it.
just, you know, we bring this up every now and then just because we deal with so many of these, keeping those titles clear. It does say draft, which I really appreciate. We've seen some of these sometimes where they don't, but, yeah, so we know what we're looking at.
Right.
Yeah, like, so it says draft, but it doesn't say draft as of today. It
Right.
this could be, when somebody's looking at this 20 years from now, this could be 2015's draft. So, just that kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll make a point to add that.
Okay,
kind of as
thanks.
So it's a living document by date.
Right. And my big question was regarding the Orchard to Porter. Can you just highlight what you took off? 'Cause I'm afraid you took off my hope and dream.
It was just that connector that was built, that was,
This section is, I'm trying to.
Well, that's Orchard to Puddintown.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot.
The highway?
Orchard to Porter. Mm-hmm. The one that goes cross country.
This one.
Mm-hmm, Hill and Dale.
Also known as the Dave Cole connector.
Well, someday it'll be Carla Stilson connector. Someday it'll back on this map.
Clearly the Stilson Cole connector now, yes.
The Stilson Cole connector, I like that.
so that got changed. If you can see that the line changed to green there that connects them, that's the piece right there that we added back. No, that one's.
No, that's
This
Park
piece.
Ave.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
put
that-
down to Orchard.
Yeah, that's the Puddintown to Orchard.
She's referencing this.
Oh, okay. Then yes,
You can go on the website, Mike, to get the real official map if you want to.
So,
The existing.
The existing, yeah, sorry.
so here's my spiel about that, is that there are existing paths through there. Penn State has not opened that up for public walkways. I'm afraid our slim, if nothing, chance of ever getting Penn State to do that is completely gone if we don't even have it on our official map. And I do think it's very important. Park Ave is not a safe place. Penn State has not shown any movement of making that a safe pedestrian corridor when there are no football games. And if they should expand Park Ave to 4 lanes, that's only gonna get worse. So I would like it back on.
Yeah, and that's why we're here
Yeah.
this evening, is to take the feedback, show you what staff's come up with, either add or subtract things that are being suggested by council, understanding and realizing PC will then get it, hash through it, and make their recommendations back.
Sure, yeah.
So, I think it's entirely appropriate. If there are things that you are not seeing here, we need to hear about those before staff takes it to PC.
Okay, yeah, so, talk about greenways, that seems to me like a potential greenway.
Okay, and just to reference, thank you, Jen, for pointing out, this is the one you're discussing.
Yeah,
Yep, I got you.
that's the guy. All right, yeah, thanks for pulling that up.
Is it?
Do you have an alibi, or you have more?
Go ahead.
Exact connection.
Just because I'm having a hard time just identifying colors, maybe the future greenway should be a different color. Just for example, off of the,
This way.
by the Lions Paw Alumni Association, that little one that jets up out of, which I think is Water Authority property, right?
Mhm.
Is that greenway? Is that the color? Okay. All right. All right. It just, against that green, it was just screwing with my eyes. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Adam.
This is something that kind of feeds into your last comment made, Carla, with respect to Park Avenue. And this is something that's maybe a little bit of a curveball for staff. But one of the things that we have learned is that when PennDOT is involved in projects, rebuilds, reconstructions of state infrastructure, that if in fact the local municipality shows through an official map that there's an intent for sidewalks, for other modality access, that oftentimes PennDOT, well, maybe PennDOT's actually required to take that into consideration relative to what they're doing. If in fact that is the case, I might recommend that council consider asking to add back in several different sections that have no bearing on our recently adopted pedestrian facilities plan, but have potential exponential opportunities should PennDOT become involved in a project. And I can think of at least several bridges that in all likelihood may be rebuilt within the coming years. And at the moment, we have no sidewalks showing across those bridges. I would add all of Elmwood Street, both sides. I would add all of Branch Road, well, most of Branch Road, both sides, especially across the bridges. And I would also add College Avenue across at the interchange. And I would add College Avenue out to the Y. Now that is
Not the
probably
YMCA, the
I'm
mall.
sorry, I'm sorry, to the
That's okay.
The mall Y.
the mall Y. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's something to consider. It's kind of a separate classification from what our normal official map would be. But I do think that that it is a consideration of some kind. And I don't know, I don't know precisely how to show it. I mean, obviously you show it with you show it with a line. But somehow make a distinction that those would only come into play or be in effect in the event of some type of a PennDOT major project. Because again, those have been ruled out as impractical for our purposes to be able to accomplish as part of a pedestrian facilities master plan. You know, these are millions and millions of dollars. There's no practical way for the local municipality to be able to address that level of infrastructure need. On the other hand, if PennDOT replaces the Elm Street Bridge or replaces the Branch Road 322 bridge at some point, there is an opportunity, provided we show that on an official map, for us to gain where without...
Right, this is where the conversation starts.
where-
This is that, yeah, that totem to point to.
Yeah, when we started down this road, path, sidewalk, whatever, that was absolutely a consideration.
That was the discussion.
We wanted to get those onto the official map so that if a road project came forward, that we would at least have an opportunity for a discussion on it and everything. So, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
And the other one, I was just, are we showing our Path to Campus project on here well enough? Kind of thing was a question I had, everything, but yeah.
Great, yeah. Yeah, that's an important addition that you're right. Maybe 4 years ago, we were harping on quite strongly.
Yeah, yeah. Get the official map updated so that if a project came forward, that it could be discussed.
Right.
So, On Adam's comment, the investment corridors, is that not why they're there? Am I not understanding the idea of the investment corridor?
Yeah, when we go back and talk about the pedestrian facilities master plan, it's referenced in there in narrative that in lieu of PennDOT's assistance on, in particular, College Avenue, getting across the bridges, it's just not a lift that College Township's going to be able to take, either through grants or some other mechanism. That said, I think it's an important addition to the official map and something that just kind of, went over my head, at least initially. I think it is very important to think about that. So, case in point, at some time in the future, and I'm just going to use the one out here in front of the building, the bridge over the 322 on College Avenue, currently does not have pedestrian facilities on it. But we also recognize there's a demand for getting across there at some point in the future. We can't do it. It's too heavy of a lift for a municipality. But PennDOT at some point is going to have to replace that bridge. And when they do that, having that line showing up on paper as part of our official map, if nothing else, it's a leverage point for the township to make that argument. As you're reconstructing this, you need to make some accommodations for pedestrian facilities. And that, having it shown that entire length is important. It's not saying that it's something we're going to do, barring some type of major development along that stretch, but it is a signal that if there is a complete rebuild of anything out there, there's an opportunity to do that. So it's a great point, frankly.
And so that would extend across the bridge on College Ave all the way to the Y?
Yes.
Okay.
And so does that get indicated as an investment corridor, or are we going to define it more explicitly? I think is what you're trying to say.
I think we're going to define it very specifically somehow. I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet.
Yeah.
And help me understand, what is an investment corridor?
So it's one of the classifications we used in our pedestrian facilities plan. As College Township's looking for places to make investments in the pedestrian network, these corridors were identified as places where College Township may be the lead on development of those corridors.
But those bridges aren't.
What Adam's alluding to is very important, and then it's a nuance in how that moves forward. We wouldn't be the lead. It would have to be a state-driven project to make that happen. So when you look at the pedestrian facilities master plan, we actually show kind of secondary routes that avoid College Avenue to try to make that connection that we may be able to do as well, a lift at the municipal level. But if PennDOT were to come through with a major roadway project, then that's the ideal corridor.
And ultimately, that sidewalk might connect to the Tail Summit.
Exactly right.
I see.
And at some point, as that, as the vision out there gets realized and we see, more types of development and more activity in that section of the township, there's going to be even greater demand to get out there.
Got it.
So it's like the ideal investment corridor, but it's not ours. Or higher power investment corridor or something.
Right, we'll have to work on how that definition comes to pass, but it's a great point.
Great. Yeah, good discussion. Tying all the things in together and.
Angel investor investment corridor.
There you go, the angel investment. I like that.
Well, that's what happened at Wattle Road.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a combination of PennDOT and private development and
having that
municipality
conversation.
consulting help.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Any further comment? There was one person on the Zoom. Are they still there with a comment, maybe?
Christian.
Yeah.
No hand raised.
Oh, there it is. Hi, Christian.
I wasn't planning on making this comment, but.
We called you out.
Maybe I will. I apologize, my son is sleeping next to me, so I'm gonna kind of whisper. Paula, thank you for calling out the Orchard to Porter. There's no real way, as everyone's aware, of getting from, this, where I live in College Township on the other side of Spring Creek Elementary, to campus or to a town that's safe and accessible for all ages and all abilities. particularly Orchard Road. When I ride to town or to campus with my daughter, she and I, neither of us feel safe on Park Avenue, so we end up remaining on Orchard Lane and going all the way around, the section where the RVs are camped for the football game. So it's very inconvenient to not have a, direct connection between Orchard or Gilbert Marsh and town and campus. So, yeah, thanks, Carla, for pointing that out.
Great, thanks for backing me up on that. It's good. I've made the long way myself. Okay, any further comments? And of course, this will go to Planning Commission should it be remanded tonight with a motion. And then we, as Lindsay pointed out, it will have a lot of opportunity for further comment and discussion. So thank you for getting that process started.
Thanks for your input.
Oh, Bob, yeah. Sorry, every time I look at you.
So long, my feet are asleep. The only question I have, Carla, is, or perhaps staff, when do you expect us to get the map?
So tomorrow, I'm going to incorporate all of council's comments into a memo, and we'll see it on Tuesday.
Okay, so these comments that you addressed tonight will be on the map?
No, well, they won't be on the map, they'll just be incorporated into the memo. Like, these were
I
council's
would
comments.
encourage it to be on the map so we can visually see it.
I think we can work, well, Shane's out.
A layer,
An overlay.
yeah.
You're gonna get it soon. It'll either be
Well-
coming Tuesday with the map, or as soon as.
Yeah, I was
Well,
just thinking-
he's saying if the things we're talking about could be drawn.
Understood.
Okay, yeah.
But
We're
you're
in one of
probably
those.
gonna have your own stuff that you want staff to put on
Certainly,
there
and,
as
and
well.
of course, but I think to have something up to date with tonight's meeting, because there was a lot discussed, and quite
Yeah.
frankly, that I think should be on the map.
Maybe it's might be old school and get some acetate, transparency paper.
might
and
have
just
to.
flip it up
That's what
over.
I was gonna say, give everybody a dry erase marker.
Well, honestly, that's where I was headed. Recognizing that our GIS guru may not be available to get it in time, that we may just be able to have to go old school. Get out
Old school.
get
Good
out
old
the
crayon.
markers and do what we need to do to
Old
provide
school as
you.
an
some-
architect is bumwad, just lay it over and sketch.
We have a
right?
big whiteboard up there, we can just
Okay.
present
Just,
it
I
and
think
draw.
it's clear
can get
that, I took a lot of notes, but I think it's important that the planning commission see these recommendations that you're making.
Great,
Or read them or see them in both.
Okay,
It'll help our process, I think.
got
Well,
it.
Bob, some of them were just raising concern. In my case, I'm really interested in what the planning commission has to say about them. I just wanted some clarification. I'm not saying Stewart Drive needs to stay on there. If the planning commission says it needs to stay on there, I'll feel a lot.
Well, I think what was intriguing was the connectivities that were talked about that are not necessarily township projects that would be, you know,
Yeah.
that I think is an important component to the master plan.
And the award-winning manager brought that up.
That was a good point.
It lives,
That's all I really have
been a year
to
now.
comment.
trying to let it die out of my eyes, I'm trying.
Almost 2
I
hours
keep-
into the meeting,
That was an excellent point.
let's see here.
All right, thank you, Bob.
hour and 40.
But, no one will see it if somebody doesn't make a motion.
At the hour and 44 minute mark. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to remand the official map to the College Township Planning Commission for their 45-day review period.
Second,
All right, further discussion.
With our
with
comments.
comment, yes,
Yeah.
good point.
Okay.
Great.
I second that amendment.
That was a friendly-ish, yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay,
Thank
NB1
you.
done. Good night, thank you for coming. Staff informatives.
There weren't any.
I confess I didn't read any.
Nothing in the folder.
Oh, thank goodness.
Nothing in the folder.
We are not to be informed.
Other matters?
I guess,
Oh,
before I forget, one thing I will share is Adam and I are working on a summary of Monday night's meeting. that will ultimately be shared back out to council before it's shared to COG. But we wanted to be able to encapsulate that discussion that we had and talk about what the process was that we used, what our overarching comments were, and kind of what our path forward is. So that'll be provided to Pam Adams once we have concurrence that we've accurately captured everything.
Great, super. Good luck.
I think we're pretty close, but
Awesome.
yeah, we'll keep working on it.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. All right, without anything else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Made by Susan.
Yay, Susan.
Way to take